And what sort of you identify, Scream Canada, and I mean that obviously hits home for me, and I think a lot of people who watch Canadian television, that's sort of been the pitfall of a lot of stuff that's sort of dominated the broadcast spectrum for the last since I've been born and been watching television.
Right.
Like for you,
like from Beachcombers forward.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
Canadian
it's just
TV just screams Canada.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just kind of frustrating too because we, you're talking on that panel yesterday. I think we have a lot of talented, creative people, and sometimes we lose them permanently to south of the border, and sometimes they come back because they want to work here, and I don't see that reflected in our movie screens or on our television screens very often. It's rare that I connect with something, and like, from your perspective, sort of what do you think that gap is? Why isn't that stuff actually getting to the screen, or is it maybe that I'm a bit delirious and we really don't have that pure talent? I think that was even one point that you mentioned on the panel.
Right.
So that was a convoluted question.
Well, no. I mean, they talk about it all the time. They talk about the brain drain, right? That so many, and it's not only talented people in our industry. It's talented surgeons and doctors and physicists and everybody, right? It's the brain drain. It's the great Canadian brain drain where everybody gets sucked down to America because they can make so much more money. And I think that happens. I think that it happens quite a lot. I mean, people go to America because they can make so much more money, and I think I think it doesn't it doesn't have to be that way. I think that there's a way. I always work on both sides of the border, and I enjoy that. And I think that I think other people, I think a lot of people work on both sides of the border, much more so than other people know. But I think that I think that when it comes to the shows that actually make it on TV, I think that maybe there's some sort of, to actually access the government money that triggers the shows, there's some sort of Canadiana rules in those things that need to be recognized, and that those are it's only those true Canadiana shows that have a Stomp It Tom Connor song in every act that actually get greenlit by the CBC or but I think that's maybe changing. I mean, if you look at even a show like Being Erica, that show doesn't scream Canada so much, I think it's changing, but I think maybe it's just changing slowly. Everyone points at Flashpoint, as this great big Canadian success story because they sold it to an American network, and it doesn't scream Canada so much. The Border is another one that's sold to an American network, and so I think that it's changing, but of course you can always do better, right?
Yeah. I mean, I watch it and I find there's sort of, that's sort of what I'm trying to find out through this doc, is there like almost a process where these ideas get distilled, because it feels like we either have, a pseudo show that's trying to reflect, an American approach, and, it lacks that authenticity or maybe, financial support, and it can't really achieve that aesthetic, or we're playing off these same tired tropes of Canadian and stereotypical stuff, and then what's left is this gap in the middle, and, it's been decades and we still haven't had that sort of homegrown audience that other English language countries that struggle with American programming do, like Australia or the UK, have really been able to actually tap into sort of their homegrown audience. So